Hi, this is Barbra Dillon with Fanbase Press. I am here with award-winning author and writer Steve Niles. Steve, thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Oh, well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And first and foremost, congratulations on the recent release of The Killing Hall. We're here at San Diego Comic-Con, excited for the release. For those who may be unfamiliar with the story, what can you share with us about the story's premise?
Well, it's an odd one for me because it's probably the first thing I've ever written that has no supernatural whatsoever. It's about two kids growing up in 1979, and to put it very simply, one starts to wonder if the other one is becoming a killer.
Very interesting. And for this unique story, what can you tell us about the shared creative process in bringing it to life on the page?
You know, I really lucked out on this one. I wrote the script beforehand, and then it was actually Sandy and Sean who tracked down Trevor. And his art just absolutely pulled it together. It's such a hard thing to sort of capture time periods in comics, and he just did a brilliant job. It looks like 1979.
And this is the second graphic novel that you have released this summer with Storm King Comics. What can you tell us about why Storm King and Sandy in particular has been such a perfect home for your work?
It's a great place. I love these people. I've known them for years. It's very supportive. I just like everything about it. The whole business model, I love doing graphic novels. One solid piece, because I'm so used to writing things in fragments. So it's been really a nice adjustment to just write 120 pages, no problem, just write it straight through.
And I want to make mention of the other title that you released this summer, which is The God List, returning with longtime collaborator Scott Hampton. Again, for those who may be unfamiliar, what can you share with us about the premise of that graphic novel?
Well, The God List is about a book, basically, a book that leads people along to treasures that may or may not have been created by and for God. So it's got a very big spiritual element. And like I said, it was mainly, Scott came up with this idea, and then I came up with the story. So, it's very exciting. And Scott's work is always so beautiful.
Do you find, in having worked with Scott for so long, do you find when you work together that there's a creative shorthand that you've developed with one another?
Absolutely. We used to do Simon Dark for DC way back in the day. And I had a period, I couldn't work for a few weeks. He just took over. Just handed it off. He took it over. I came back and started working. We've known each other since I was, 20, 21, a long time.
Yeah.
So.
Going back to those early days, I have to ask, given that you are such a horror aficionado, I myself am from Pittsburgh, so we had hometown hero George Romero. But growing up in D.C., did you have someone that was like a lightning rod for all things horror, or did you have inspirations outside of the city?
It was all outside the city. D.C. was better known for the music scene. But as far as, that's one reason why I left. I was the only one I knew doing comics or wanted to make horror movies or anything like that. So, but I had plenty of influences. George Romero, Pittsburgh's not too far. And I actually lived in Pittsburgh for 2 years.
Really?
Yeah, I lived on Squirrel Hill.
I know Squirrel Hill very well. And are there, just for our audience who may be curious, outside of George Romero, who were some of your influences that really drove you forward creatively?
It's always the same names. Richard Matheson, John Carpenter, Bernie Wrightson. Yeah.
Well, aside from these two projects that we've mentioned today, are there any other projects, whether graphic novels or otherwise, that you have on the horizon that you're able to share? I don't want to get you into trouble.
I'm actually pitching right now. So I've been writing a lot of new material over the last few months, just been having a blast. So I'm in the process. Do you know the artist Andre Muti? Yeah, that's who he and I are working
He's phenomenal.
Together. And bigger ball of energy doesn't exist. He's the most energetic guy I've ever met. So we're having a blast.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. And we're here, as I mentioned, here at San Diego Comic-Con right now. What is your favorite thing about coming to San Diego Comic-Con every year?
Honestly, just seeing people. We all lead these sort of isolated lives. I sit for a living in an office. I don't see people if it's not a Zoom. So this is my chance to just get out and see other creators and publishers and things like that.
Well, last question, perhaps the most important question. Anyone who knows you on social media knows your tortoise Gil. How's Gil doing?
All 200 pounds of him. He's doing great. This is his time of year. All the heat. He just loves it. So I'm sure he's out stomping around right now.
Well, Steve, thank you so much for sharing your time with me. And again, congrats on these amazing 2 releases. So excited for both of them.
Thank you so much.
Well, again, this is Barbara Dillon from Fanbase Press here at San Diego Comic-Con with the one and only Steve Niles. You can stay tuned for more interviews like this one at fanbasepress.com.